Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining our discussion session on scaling a hacker community with tooling. My name is Angus. I am a rising senior going to University at Buffalo in upstate New York. And I generally don't introduce myself this way, but that's what they prefer me to do. So I am a former software engineering intern at Optimizely and Stripe. And I am my school's Association for Computing Machinery chapter president for the past 2 years. So this is Tristan, and I'll have him introduce himself.
Hi, my name is Tristan. Go to University of Buffalo, graduating sophomore. I'm the vice president of the ACM, Association for Machinery chapter at UD.
Awesome. So this is a discussion session, so I really want to get more of a sentiment from everyone who is here. I think everyone who decided to show up to my discussion session has a lot to share too. The session will mainly focus on just having everyone throw some high-level ideas out and share them. But before we get started, I'll just do a little intro. So. Building communities are hard. It's a full-time job, and people get hired to do it for their livelihoods. So everyone here volunteering to run their student hacker community, I think everyone is doing since you volunteered to take up this position, you really deserve a lot more credit than what people think. So building student communities are even harder because we run into a lot of problems that are given to us by parent organizations like from our school or from the chapters that we're part, or the chapter parent organization that we're part of, like ACM, IEEE, et cetera. So because of that, it comes with a set of tasks that we have to do in addition to what we want to do most, which is building the hacker community or computer science and software engineering communities, right? So we could use tooling to sort of automate and navigate through the red tape that lets us focus on what we're most excited about. And especially for those of us interested in software engineering careers in the future, that's literally our job to solve problems with technology. So usually for our community, we could solve a lot of problems with just free software that's available, using GitHub or using Slack and the Google Suite that our school provides us for free. But we also build a lot of our own software. So before we continue into our full discussion session, I just want everyone to introduce yourselves to the people around you, and want you to share one of the most interesting things that your community has done to sort of tackle this, a problem that you face with technology, or if you're running into a very difficult challenge right now that you definitely think is possible to solve with tooling. I want you to, if the people with whiteboards can sort of ask the people sitting around you. Sorry, I was not expecting this many people to show up, so I wish there's a better way of doing this. But introduce yourselves and share one of your topics, and in 2 or 3 minutes, we'll come back together and we'll talk about those bigger topics and go around the room to see if anyone has any experience or solved a similar problem. So please get started. So it looks like on 2 boards there is a general topic about how to collaborate with your leadership team. Is that correct? Yep. Cool. So on one of them it says someone used Trello as one of their Yeah, it looks like one of the people used Trello as like a way to manage their project or manage their team. Does anyone want to share their experience?
So we looked at Trello, and it's really expensive when you have 25 organizers to pay for it. And they don't offer that great student discounts. So we found another tool called Notion. It's been mentioned a couple other sessions. Like, the Notion fan is strong here, I love it. I'm still trying to convince like the rest of my team to use it. I've like single-handedly been like the Notion police to put everything in it. But it's kind of like Google Docs, Trello, Asana, like what else? Like our meeting minutes are in there, and like that's like the very best thing I've ever done. It's like the one place that has everything you need to run your organization. And if you message them in the app, they'll give it to you for free, which is sick.
Okay, cool.
So that's your .so.
What was the last part?
.so.
Gotcha.
All right, so looks like
this is our task board, so it looks a lot like Trello, which is nice. But then I can also be like, you know what? I want to see this as a table. I can, yeah, there we go. And I can see the table of tasks that are just assigned to me, and then you can like reformat all the data in a bunch of different ways. It's like, what's that? Notion.
We'll pass out notes afterwards. So don't worry if you haven't caught everything. So to reiterate what Kyle said, instead of using Trello because it gets very expensive as your team grows, he recommends using Notion, and it's sort of a similar vein, and if you ask them, it sounds like they'll give you for free, which is great.
Educational use and free.
Awesome. So free is great. It looks like
So another thing that our team isn't doing this, but I learned that Arizona does this, and they actually have their own private wiki, where they keep track of information regarding like sponsors, vendors, and anything like that. So the next team can go through and pick up and see like, oh, how did talks with the sponsor go last year? What was the contact for that? And then anybody who wants information about a specific thing regarding Hackcon can go to that page on the wiki and learn more about it.
Awesome. So, sorry, what's your name? Paul. So Paul shared that in addition to using some sort of like task management, knows of a team that also uses a private wiki to store all of their like knowledge in a central location in order to make sure that knowledge gets passed on. Yes.
I had a question. I was wondering what people use for email management, just because we use MailChimp and it's really expensive because we have like over 3,000 people in our mailing list. So what tool do you guys use?
Okay, so to reiterate the question, what's your name? Fiona asked, are there any alternatives to MailChimp, and do you have
This is like only kind of helpful, but if you enable two-factor authentication on MailChimp, they give you 10% off, which we found is very helpful.
So what's your name? Ben. So Ben said if you enable two-factor authentication on MailChimp, they give you a 10% discount. That's interesting. Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if this is something they do on a wide scale, but we ended up working out a partnership / student org discount with SendGrid. So we have all of our mail sending on SendGrid now, and we don't pay for it.
What's it called?
SendGrid, and it's a Colorado based. It was like a Boulder Techstars company, so I don't know if there's like a personal connection there or if they have a larger student program, but worth looking into. I just don't know the answer. Wish I did. But yeah. Cool.
What's your name?
Oh, sorry, I'm Elliot Whitehead from GitHub and Axiom.
Awesome. So Elliot said to ask
SendGrid. SendGrid.
Oh.
recommends SendGrid as an alternative. Yes.
Follow up on both. Are you using it for API like programmatic email sending? Because that's what I've used SendGrid for, and I've never used SendGrid for like MailChimp campaigning. So I don't know how that would actually work. I guess you could just do HTML, that's what might be annoying.
So something I do want to point out, if it's really just basic emails, you can check out your school and you can probably set up like a listserv. And while it may not be like probably the most pretty option, you can always have a listserv for your club if your school has that. So you can just send out emails to the listserv and never get it.
My name's Shane Manford, and I'm a State University faculty student. We've used Mixmax in the past. They're kind of like a smaller startup company of sorts, but they do a lot of campaigning, and we work out a deal with them where we let them like come to our event and they sponsor some money and we advertise for them, but they give us a free account for their program at like their business level, and that allows you. They don't have any maximum number of recipients, so we have like a list of like 200 companies that we send out campaigns for and stuff like that. Someone else I was talking to earlier also brought up a program called Streak, and they said that it does cost a little bit more money, but I don't know their logistics on if they have reached out to them to try to get some sort of like sponsorship connection with that. So we'll probably look into using that possibly too.
Cool. So it sounds like Jamie recommends Mixmax and Streak as mail management. So we're going to move on to the second part of what our discussion should be, or I'd like to touch on, which is like building your own in-house tools to solve those problems. So from the whiteboards, it sounds like, or it looks like, maintainability and a more formal or a better registration tool and judging or judging methods sounds like some of the high-level topics that people want to solve. So I could actually speak about the judging or the way that judging works for at least my organization. So we rolled our own voting system, and it's like mostly, or the system itself is very basic, but we like decided to build it from scratch instead of using Google Forms or something similar. I think we decided to do that when we wanted to do more complex ways of setting up categories for prizes, and we want to also just provide like a nicer like brand / experience for the voters and the people who are submitting their projects. So any question or anything in addition that you'd like to ask or add on for a voting / judging system? Yes. I think you raised your hand first.
But we were Quang from Benjax. We were thinking of using Gavel, which Hackcon might built, and that's like a pairwise voting system. That's like it has like nice mathematical properties, and it's supposed to be like better than like we used to roll our own. It's just like every judge ranking a project from like 1 to 100 or something and averaging. But I think MIT's like Gavel system, it works like out of the box, and I think it's better.
Awesome. So Quang recommends using Gavel from MIT open source instead of rolling your own. Yes.
So actually 2 hacker years ago we did use Gavel, and there were some massive problems with it. So maybe for a smaller hackathon, especially like HackMIT, I think it works better, but a couple things it assumes that we didn't really like is that the judge to like demo ratio has to be pretty low. Like I think it was about 20 judges, and then it's like 20 demos and like 10 judges or something like that was the scale that they seem to be assuming. At least from what I read from that stack paper, that was kind of crazy. But we don't have that kind of scale, so it got really terrible where we had judges just be like, do I have to judge all 80 hacks because we didn't realize Gavel was used to do that?
What was your scale?
Sorry?
What was your scale?
So yeah, we had like 15 judges and like about 80 demos. That's, yeah, 80.
Wait, so you think it would work better if we had like a normal scale? Like we have like 500 people.
I mean, I think it works a little worse, or you have to like figure out how to cap it and like tailor it, which I don't want to. How many judges would you have?
Not sure.
Probably like 100 projects, probably 15 to 20 judges.
Yeah, so that's like it might not scale, like just a big warning. And the other thing we found really tricky too was in categories. So those were 2 issues we had with Gavel, which is why we actually took Gavel and then rolled our own.
Yeah, the code was generally really poorly documented, so we're doing a lot of like scaffolding on it.
What's your name?
I'm Heyman from Hacker.
Sorry. Heyman from Hacker. HackRU mentioned some scaling problems with Gavel that might run into or might be a problem for bigger sized hackathons or events. Did you have anything else to add?
No, I basically wanted to ask people like who have used Gavel and basically the problems they face.
Great. So you have a good group of people to ask later. Awesome. So, were there any other questions on this side?
Oh no, I was just going to say that. So I'm part of the organizing team for Hackcon team. Now I was just asking. I just wanted some clarification. I think you said something about an issue you raised with categories. Because I just wanted to like get feedback for it so that I can like try to
Yeah, there was no support for categories when we looked at it. Like,
Okay.
I think you guys had like one best overall and then you ranked like top 5.
Okay, yeah.
But we have like superlatives in ours, so we have like best use of this API and such that we
Okay.
wanted to add to it.
Yeah.
It was pretty simple to add, and I could probably find a version on GitHub that has that added. But yeah, it was just a thing we had to do. So. Is math still working? We don't know.
Yeah, because like for the scalability issue, like we do like focus it on like larger scales because our hackathon is like pretty like fairly larger. And for the category part, we do category judging separately, so that's why we don't have integration with Galway.
I think we probably have time for just one quick comment.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask what HackMIT's judge to project ratio is. What's your judge to project ratio?
We probably have like 20 to 30 judges, probably closer to 20, and then we probably have 200 projects.
Okay, so we are running out of time, unfortunately, since we started late. So I just want to wrap up here. So once again, my name is Angus, and this is Tristan. We're part of University of Buffalo's ACM chapter. We also have some experience in building our own tools. So I worked on the voting system, Tristan worked on our check-in system, and in addition to using a lot of other vendor software. So if you have any questions or just want to share like what you've done with your community, I encourage you to speak with me or Tristan. We're open for any discussion, or it doesn't have to be about this discussion either, because people can have more than one dimension. So I also, since we are having lunch after, I believe, I highly encourage you to, like, before we head out, meet a couple more people that are in this room, because we're all here and we're all very passionate about solving these types of problems. So I encourage you to just look around and see if anyone around you can answer some of the questions that you have. So thank you for coming, and feel free to reach out to me or Tristan if you have any questions.